If you want a big folding phone, then go for the Z Fold 5 or the Pixel Fold or any other option within your region. If you want a flip or a classic clamshell style smartphone, then stick around as we're going to compare these two newest and best. It's the Z Flip 5 and the Moto Razr Plus. So can flip phones get much better than they already are? Well, that's a question we're asking ourselves. The format is pretty, and forgive me for using this word, rigid. A foldable phone can take a number of shapes and sizes a lot more readily or easily. A flip phone though, well, it's a clamshell that has a full-sized inner display, plus, as we're starting to see more often, an outer screen tacked on. That's it, the full form factor. Realistically, there ain't much you can do given these limitations. Maybe you can nip and tuck here and there, but there isn't going to be a huge change year over year. That's the bad news. Large format front screens though, they're starting to come at the forefront of these, and the big changes coming with this type of hardware. The Z Flip 5 is where all of the upgrades are to be found in Samsung's new lineup, but the fuller front screen was actually beaten to the punch by Moto and the Moto Razr Plus or Razr 40 Ultra, depending on your region. Considering just how poor the first few Razr foldables were and how much progress has been made over there, we hate to say it, but Samsung has clearly slouched with its own lineup. The Z Flip 5 may have some upgrades of its own, but this is really just a Z Flip 4 with a bigger outer screen. We're not going to bore you here with too many details. The chipsets on these devices are a step apart, that's worth noting. The real differences here are the bigger outer screens that you can use. Sure, you're only getting a screen size which is similar to that of a Game Boy Advance, but there is more real estate on the outside than ever before. Bigger outer screens are more useful than smaller outer screens. You can have that one for free on me. Motorola has stacked the outer display of the Razr Plus. It's smoother at 120Hz. Samsung sticks with a 60Hz screen. The actual designs look a little different. The Razr Plus wraps around the dual camera, Samsung skirts around it. Which looks better? Well, I guess that's going to be up to you. Samsung has more options on their devices courtesy of the Flex window. It's not a perfect solution, but you do get nice added widgets that might be helpful when you're not using your phone. Good Lock also gives you the ability to force any app on your phone to run on this little Game Boy Advance size screen, which could be a real winner for you if you're happy to work with that tiny unfolded panel. Moto though ain't letting Samsung have all the phone, as full screen applications will run on this without any added software. Either solution though isn't completely foolproof, but it's a massive leap for clamshell phones in 2023, we must say. This could be a step forward that helps shift even more flip style phones. There's no doubt that this form factor is more popular than larger foldables. Samsung actually sells nearly double its own Z Flip series than the Z Fold, and that alone itself probably is enough to indicate that Moto has made the right choice, upping its game with the Razr Plus, although cost will be a big factor in why people aren't picking up these foldables. Elsewhere, the reality is that the internal displays on these clamshell devices are fairly similar. They're Full HD Plus rated, they're AMOLED, they have central punch-hole notches, high refresh rate screens, although the Razr Plus does up the ante a little with a 165Hz capable internal screen. The Z Flip 5 just sticks with tried and tested 120Hz, which means they're both great panels whichever one you do pick and choose. What's immediately noticeable though is the difference in how the display crease is handled. The crease itself is actually just less visible on the Moto Razr, if that does bother you, and it's one area that we think Chinese OEMs are absolutely killing Samsung in minimizing that screen crease. I personally have a gripe with how flip phones are handling the camera systems though, especially as these devices are gaining popularity. Sure, it makes sense to have a wide and ultra wide, but I feel like a wider main lens and telephoto would be better for most use cases. That's just my 2 cents, and you can have that one for free as well. Neither of these flip phones is shipping with flagship camera sensors. In fact, the Z Flip 5 comes with the Z Flip 4's camera system. I'd say the quality is fine, it's pretty middling overall, it's not terrible, just not astounding. The best way to describe the cameras is that they're capable rather than incredible, and that's just how far it goes with this form factor. You can apply the same to the Folds and other big buy foldables out there too. That's not all those, you can apply this logic to the battery capacities on devices like this. The lack of space and the split design means that smaller batteries are going to be par for the course. That's just the way that the physics works, and a double thick phone probably wouldn't have the same benefits. All of the modern charging tech is thrown in with these phones. There's fairly fast wide charging, although it's not the best out there, plus there's wireless Qi charging if you do want to stick it on a wireless charging pad. Now if you're wondering why should you choose a flippy boy over a regular phone, well that's a tough question. There's lots to compromise here. Get the camera, the battery, the size, durability, then there's the price. You can actually get cheaper phones with more functionality that don't bend. There's lots of cool stuff here, but neither the Razr Plus nor the Z Flip 5 are essential phones in that regard. They're really similar across the board too, and it's hard to choose between them. I know for a fact that someone is probably screaming at the screen right now as well. What about the Oppo Find N2? Well, we could talk about the Find N2, but it's another excellent clamshell smartphone, but it's not available in as many regions as the Z Flip series, and even the Motorola Razr will be, at least for the foreseeable future. That's not necessarily great for you, the buyer, but it at least makes it easier to choose between these two, especially as in North American markets, you have these to choose from and barely anything else. If the latest and greatest matter to you though, the Z Flip 5 is a better choice. If you want a marginally better form factor, I'd say go with the Razr. In our opinion though, you're actually better off getting another phone entirely. My choice would be to stick to regular smartphones and go for the Nothing Phone 2. I think it's a great package for almost half the price of the Z Flip and the Razr. Plus it has cleaner software and a funky lighting setup, though that could be considered a gimmick. I want to ask you, would you buy a flip phone? It looks like non-tech people are actually going out and buying these more often than bigger foldables, and I imagine that's something to do with the price. If you do own a flip phone though, drop a shell emoji down in the comment sections below and we'll make that our little secret message between us. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you in the next upload.